This session, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be chaired by Shabbir Kanchwala, Principal Global Network for Zero USA, who's an evangelist for the green cause. Shabbir ji has been there for close to nearly 3 decades and has over 3 decades of real estate expertise and has led the green transformation, which ranges green buildings for new developments and existing projects with the Bill Clinton Climate Foundation under their Building Energy Retrofit program. Shabbir ji began his career as a structural engineer back in Cincinnati, Ohio, and has come up with the ranks to be known in the Indian real estate industry as a torchbearer for the Green Initiative. Give it up for him, ladies and gentlemen, a true visionary in the true sense of the term. I want you all to clap and make some noise for this wonderful human being over here. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. I'll be introducing our speakers now in alphabetical order. We have the presence of Amitabh Kumar, founder and director, ProjMatrix LLP, member CTBUH Height and Data Committee. Amitabh ji has 34 years plus experience and has been a member of the American Society of Civil Engineers, MASCE, since the year 2009. He has closely monitored P&L as head EPC at Puranik Builders Limited and has been instrumental and has actively contributed in design and construction of over 250 plus meters high India Bulls Sky Towers and 240 plus meters high K. Raheja Artesia Tower, and has worked closely on projects with globally reputed consultants like LERA, TT, WPM, RWDI, ACOM, ARUP. Give it up for Mr. Amitabh Kumar, ladies and gentlemen. A huge shout out for this wonderful man as he comes over here and joins us on stage. We also have Sudeep, Mehrotra, CEO, Asset Management, Welspun One Logistics Parks. Sudeep Mehrotra brings over 2 decades of experience in logistics, real estate, and transport infrastructure. He has successfully led transformative ventures across India, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. His professional journey includes spearheading PPP initiatives in ports and airports, driving business development at APM terminals, and playing a pivotal role at Alvarez and Marcel as managing director in infrastructure and logistics. Can I please request all of you to clap loudly for Sudeep Mehrotra ji as well as he comes and joins us over here on stage. Thank you so much, sir. The stage is set. We're all set to get going with the second exclusive conversation for the day. Thank you so much, sir. Over to you.
I guess the topic is something which talks about state-of-the-art building systems where people call it smart building systems in terms of how it's going to affect sustainability in the real estate sector. So that's something which we all are interested in, because obviously without building systems for sustainability to sustain itself is a question mark. As data is a very important part of the whole process. So the smart building trends illustrate how smart buildings are contributing to, whether we talk about energy efficiency, whether we talk about water consumption, or creating healthier environments. As the technology will evolve over a period of next 4 to 5 years, and which is rapidly getting done, for us to move forward, as we all know that we have just one planet which needs to be left for our children and grandchildren, I strongly believe that net zero is the way to go in terms of ensuring, as Prime Minister Modi has in the Paris Agreement has said that India would become net zero by 2070, and with intermediate targets of 2030 and 2040. So whether it is any types of buildings or solar or electric vehicles, or for that matter, moving away from fossil fuels, net zero is the journey we will all have to undertake. So let me start with you, Amitabh. Basic question, what defines a smart building in the context of sustainability?
Thank you to, I'm thankful to Reality Plus and all of you to giving me this opportunity to be here. I'm thanks to Shabbir on this panel discussion. So coming to your question, the sustainability and a smart building goes together. So smart building use sensors, use a data-driven system, so they optimize the energy use, and energy efficiency is there, which helps the environment because we are reducing the energy consumption. Obviously, smart building is taking care of the occupants' health and wellness by monitoring the indoor air quality, temperature, humidity, ventilation system and all. So that way it's good for environment, and it takes optimized resources because it is a data-driven system. So what we use, we monitor the use of water, use of waste, then what are the waste recycling processes. So that way it's an optimized resource management, which is again helping the environment. So in all these ways, it's helping the environment.
Thank you, Amit. So your comments on this, what defines a smart building in the context of sustainability?
Namaste everyone. Shabbir, to my mind, let's just maybe, so if you look at the overall smart buildings or buildings consumption of energy, right? For a country like India, it's around 30-35%. For globally, it has gone up to 40-45%, which means that as we grow and become more and more aspirational, we have more and more buildings. And as we have more and more buildings, those buildings will be big consumers of energy. So one of the aspects of smart building is the ability to maybe consume less energy and still be as productive as any other potential building, right? So if that is defined as a smart building, and if any one of us who has maybe done work around maybe making certain objectives meet business reality, we all know that there are 4 levers, right? There's a lever on process, there's a lever on technology, there's a lever on organization, and there is a lever on infrastructure. Now, infrastructure is the most long-term, long lead of the other 4. So you can change the process, you can change the technology, you can change the organization, but infrastructure once created stays there for a longer period of time. So to my mind, smart building means a building which is capable of managing the aspirations of the people inside in their capability to achieve these objectives of sustainability, right? Whether it is lower energy, lesser waste, better comfort, more use of renewables, etc., all comes as a necessary element of smart building. But a building which is well thought, well designed, well conceptualized, along with whatever exists around it, and it is capable of giving everyone who either is responsible for building it or developing it, and who is responsible for maybe operating from it, the building which gives maximum flexibility to people to do all that they aspire to do with lesser energy and lesser impact on environment, would to my mind mean a smart building.
Thank you. So to continue with you, Sudeep, you mentioned that smart buildings help in reducing energy bills, right? So how would I do that? I mean, if I am a person who's looking for a commercial office space, or for that matter, I'm a residential customer who's looking for buying a home which is a smart home. How do I do that? How do I reduce my energy bills?
Yeah, so maybe I'll explain this in the context which I understand more, right? Which is building these buildings for industrial and warehousing usage, and then maybe we can use some of those elements around residential and office and commercial buildings as well. So when we think about our parks and when we go about maybe building each of those buildings, there are certain basic things which have become hygiene now, right? For instance, how much maximum sunlight can be provided to reduce the energy bill inside. Things like how can you make sure that the air changes inside are to an effect that the requirement of artificial ways of maybe generating that airflow is reduced, right? So these are hygiene. These are things which over a period of time technology offers, and they become the dominant nature of doing any design. And when they become a dominant nature of doing any design, everybody is willing to pay for it, right? So these are simple things. In addition to that, of course, now solar is a reality, and solar is a reality for any industrial site, any warehousing site. So it becomes And then there's absolutely no if and but now. The question is almost convincingly to the extent that if you're able to use solar, your energy bills are lesser, right? Then there comes a solution around how can you make your park or your building more compliant to use electric vehicles. Now, different people have different view on how much will be the penetration of electric vehicle for meeting the requirements of people like you and me, and also meeting the requirements of cargo which flows between cities and the warehouses. But the fact is that that number is only increasing every quarter, right? So not playing that game would mean that we are doing something wrong. So then that becomes an incremental thing. All the material which is used, all the way the way you think about water. Now there are multiple parks of ours where we are not only getting people who do just pure storage, the people who do a lot of manufacturing inside. And for some of them, water becomes a necessary element of choosing a site. Now, just using the right kind of thought process of design, and how can rainwater be harvested? How can we make sure that whatever waste is created is also getting disposed in the way it should be? So some of these things then get either advertised by the companies themselves in the way they are selling their proposition, or through certification with many professionals like many in this room and others would be doing. So those can be some ways of people like you and me to decide which is the property where maybe I'm being more responsible than not being more responsible. And I'm assuming a similar kind of certification, a similar kind of thought process also exists on the residential side. So as a residential buyer, I may be less educated to evaluate a building, but then there are various kinds of agencies who come in and who are giving insights that which building is environmentally more responsible. And I'll tell you something. I think this is quite amazing. I have a 5-year-old and an 11-year-old. And when I think about buying the next vehicle, the elder one has a view that why I'm not taking an electric vehicle, right? And I'm sure time is almost there when people, children and family will have a view that why are we not taking a more environmentally friendly house as well, right? So awareness is coming, people are respecting it. Some of us maybe are a little ahead in the curve, but it's a matter of time. As you said, 2070 is the goal for India, and it will either be imposed on us or we will willingly accept it, but it's around the corner for us to make those choices.
Thank you. Amitabh, I have a different question for you in terms of, because you're involved with building infrastructure. So how do you integrate smart buildings with the existing building infrastructure? So if you have an existing building, how do you integrate that?
So the existing building cannot be written off. They are there, and it has to be retrofitted. We have to make it smart. So what we do, so first thing comes to my mind is sensors deployment. So we can deploy various sensors without without any structural changes. So that can help. And we are having legacy system in all our buildings. There is building automation system. There is sensors. So what we can do, we can use IoT network. We can connect these two together, and then we can use cloud platform. So we can have aggregated data at one place, centralized data. So that will help us. This way we can integrate all those smart building systems. We can also thought of putting the smart building system in a modular way, like if we are putting some devices, smart devices. So it should be modular, it should be scalable, so that it doesn't disrupt the process, because the existing building is already having the legacy system. So it should be in a scalable manner. So it is implemented in such a way that it is not disrupting the overall services. So it's very robust system. We can deploy smart buildings to the existing building.
Thank you. So Sudeep, I have a question for you in terms of, when we talk about automation, in terms of, one is that, we talk of sustainability, we talk of saving power and water, and then we talk about occupant comfort. So how do you balance the two? And how does the building automation system help in ensuring that there is an occupant comfort and as well as the fact that, you know, we are also saving power and water?
Yeah, so there could be various drivers of automation, and I will be frank here, most of the drivers of automation in the context of the buildings that we develop are mostly to improve productivity. And these are productivity of people or productivity of rolling stock, which essentially is a truck or a material handling equipment, right? So let's just take examples, right? So for instance, a lot of parks, including parks which exist near the airport or parks which are created for very high velocity movement, right? Which is for quick commerce or which is for same day commerce or 4-day or slot based delivery. These require very heavy movement of vehicles, right? And when you have very heavy movement of vehicles, you have queuing. When you have queuing, you have lack of productivity. In the process, you also have the load on diesel, because you end up consuming more energy if the vehicle is not doing maximum number of trips in the minimum amount of time, right? So one of the automation thoughts there or the implementation there is, say, appointment based tracking, right? So the vehicle only comes on a gate when it is supposed to be on the gate. And then there is automation around the gate entry and bay management, so the vehicle exactly knows when it will get entered. So a security person just reading the number plate can also determine which bay this vehicle needs to go to, which tenant this vehicle belongs to. And then there are automatic guidance systems in the park to tell that where this vehicle is supposed to land, right? So some of this, while it improves the productivity of the vehicle itself, it also significantly reduces the pressure on the fuel itself, right? Now, to the extent that a smaller vehicle, 70% of the cost in a month is fixed cost. So if you're just like an Indigo Airlines, if you are turning it faster, you are reducing that cost. And in the process, you are also maybe achieving the goal of fuel efficiency. Similarly, I think inside the warehouse, when operations happen, right, the way you can use height by using maybe material handling equipments, things which are there for doing faster turnarounds, conveyor belts, etc. These are things which consume energy, and increasingly these are becoming a standard part of any warehouse, right? Because our needs are evolving so fast that we used to be a country where the availability was a value proposition for customers. Now time has become a value proposition, that can I get this particular good in this much amount of time, and everybody is fighting for the 15-minute delivery, 30-minute delivery, 45-minute delivery. So if that is a reality, then there will be a lot of automation inside the building, to an extent that when we put a building which is, say, a 12 crore building, the person who operates it is putting 70-80 crores inside. Right? So you can imagine how much automation is going to, and for that kind of automation, you can also imagine how much electricity is going to be used, right? So increasingly, we are seeing that people want usage of automatic. So Amitabh spoke about sensors. So everybody is now going for sensors inside. And just imagine, warehouses are not the most fancier buildings, right? These are fancy buildings inside the city. But now there are sensors inside the warehouse. There are obviously light guided aisles. So only those aisles get lighted wherever the person is there. There are automatic retrieval and storage system, which are dark warehouses where only things come out as and when they are needed. So some of this automation is on the go. Most of it is happening because people want to improve productivity of the warehouse and reduce error of management. But the day is not, places like Mumbai where the energy bill can be so massive, I think everybody has gone towards using all the automation tools. So we need more support of people who design automation and do it really, really fast. I think as a country, maybe that resource pool is a little bit of a miss. If you start thinking about companies and partners who can automate this service for you, the best ones are the Germans and the Japanese. We still have to have the right kind of partners here in India who are able to do it at the cost at which is the Make in India cost, right? So that would be my response on how is automation changing buildings. And every year we see something really new inside the building. So it's happening very, very fast. So I'm quite excited about it. I think a lot is happening, and it's the area of future on automating some of these concepts inside the building.
Interesting. So I guess this question is for both of you, and there is a buzzword of artificial intelligence and machine learning. So do you foresee a role of AI in terms of, upgradation of smart building system? Is there going to be a necessity of humans to, to look at the smart building systems, or will AI and machine learning play a role in terms of, Sudeep, you can start and then you can.
So the problem with sensors and automation is we are having a lot of data. And if you are having plenty of data, a human mind cannot work on it. So we need algorithm, so machine language algorithm, artificial intelligence. So they are coming to our help. So what they can do, they can analyze those data and give us the result in a very precise manner, and it will enhance the data, whatever we are getting out of the data, and that will help us, like you can see, they can predict when you need to maintain your HVAC system, they can predict when you have to change a particular component so that you are prepared in advance. So to my mind, artificial intelligence and machine language learning will be required more and more, because we are generating more and more data. We are collecting more and more data. So how can we handle it? How can you get benefit out of those data? That comes to my mind.
A great point, Amitabh, and just maybe taking it a step further. So Amitabh spoke about a building which is operational, and how can a lot of data which gets generated inside the building be used for the right kind of operating decisions, right? For somebody to operate the building in a way that is maximum comfort for people who live in there, right? But if we just maybe go back, even during the design phase, right? So right now, when we think of designing our buildings, right? So options get generated using the efforts of people on the floor. But there is a lot of tools now available where we are able to generate many more options on what can be done with that piece of land and with that size of the building by using AI. And most of the inputs or constraints which are fed at the moment to maybe give the right answers are around maximum land efficiency, maximum area efficiency, things like maintaining the regulatory criteria of that site. However, those tools are not right now taking inputs like which of these designs will give me the maximum solar efficiency, which of these design will give me the minimum energy efficiency for the lifts. I think some of that will start coming in, right? Because people will solve for the hygiene and then start using this for giving these kind of answers. Also, a lot of video analytics which is happening on sites are currently being done for exception management, right? However, what we are seeing is video analytics would also be on site during construction, be used for managing the flow of material, and in such a way that the double handling of material, the movement of material will reduce using video analytics. So I see that as a interesting use case for using AI for energy efficiency, because any movement is a cost, and is a cost as well as energy consumption. So that's the other area. And just to add to Amitabh's point, I think for all our buildings as well, so one another example is we generate a lot of information around how many people have come in, how many people have gone out, where all they went to. Some of this information can very efficiently be used using AI to define the path in which a certain activity should be done, so that there is minimum energy consumption when that activity is done on a daily level. So I see a lot of merging of concepts here. Again, I think in this case, when it comes to digital automation, maybe we as a country are doing better than physical automation, but still there is a lot of journey to be covered.
Thank you. I was reading an article that, in China, AI has virtually taken over, the facility management of quite a few offices and factories where the requirement of the facility management team is virtually not there in terms of, what they can do. So I believe, going forward, whether we like it or not, there will come a time where AI is going to take over a lot of things which we're doing right now. So my last question to both of you is, government has regulations, whether you have the municipality regulations, whether you have the state government regulations. How do these, affect smart building technologies implementation? So, that is the question. Does the government regulations help in ensuring that, smart building technologies are implemented in the way they should be?
So standards are quite elaborate. There are local standards, like if we go and see the NBC, there are a lot of data available to design the building, guidelines available. If we want to use the international standards, so ASRE and ISRE standards are there, so that can be used. IEC standards, European standards can be used. There is also LEED, EDGE, and other green building certification standards which help us in designing the building in right manner from the beginning. So that's also important. And and I will also like to add IEEE standards. IEE standards are also very good, and they are the biggest technological group as IEE. And to understand that they are having a separate division for standards, that IEEE standards come from there. We can get a lot of help from those standards. So all of them will help us in designing the building and smart building devices and other things.
Thank you. Sudeep?
So as Amitabh said, I think standards are good benchmarks for some of us to follow, and in the process maybe make sure that we are also complying to minimum expectations that stakeholders will have from us. And then these standards are also, as Amitabh mentioned, are evolving with time, and they're also getting better and better. From a government regulation perspective, I think when it comes to maybe providing incentives and providing the right kind of financial tools, the government is acting, and they're also maybe doing the right things for the industry to adopt some of these practices. Although the awareness about how can this be availed needs to be improved, especially in the MSME and small segment category. So that's on the government side, it's happening. However, I think when it comes to maybe innovating, improvising, and doing disruptive thought process, right? There, I think the government's capability to even advise or maybe guide may not be there. I think there's a need for that kind of a innovation center, which is capable of thinking the next thing in the world, not just the next thing in India, which is continuously maybe encouraging developers as well as pushing some of us to think out of the box. And that some of it requires government support, some of it can be done independent of government. But I think that kind of, and if you were to think about, if there is one cutting edge innovation center in India which can think about the smart building design of future, which is 50 years away, right? I think those kind of institutions need to be established for us to maybe get better and better.
I would like to add to his point that if you see the commercial eligible buildings, so green building makes sense, because whosoever is making a grade A commercial building is looking for the clients, MNC clients, and they always want green building. When it comes to residential sector, things are very different. There is no such incentive to my developer clients. So they are thinking, they are doing it on their own with that idea that yes, green building we should do. But what I think that government can play a role, BMC is collecting so much money for every project, for every square foot. So if the BMC comes with some incentive for the green building in the residential sector, it will help a much, and a green building will be more promoted if such thing happens.
Yeah, thank you. So I would like to finish off with a few comments in terms of how smart building technologies would evolve. India is at the cusp of real estate revolution, what has happened in the last 3 to 5 years. And, like we all say, anything and everything is selling in terms or getting leased out. Having said that, in Mumbai itself, to give you a perspective, we have more than 11,125 projects, work in progress going on right now, with new projects getting announced every day. People talk about in various forums of India actually will be building one new Chicago city every year. So with all this and with a certain GDP growth which India requires to get people out of poverty, I believe in what the millenniums look at this whole green concept and the net zero concept. They talk about wanting to stay in a net zero home, want their parents to work in a net zero office, they want to go to a net zero school. So I guess smart building technologies are actually the implementers and would partly help in this journey. As we all have one planet, and we need to ensure that we leave that for our grandchildren. Thank you.